Hello, this is ASMR Noir, and this video was like a little bit requested. Some people wanted to know a little bit more about me and where I come from. And yes, I'm in my bed and it's in the middle of the night, but I hope that we won't be disturbed by any ghosts or anything. Yes. Well, what is there to say? I grew up with my grandparents because my mom had a very hard job and she worked a lot, so she kind of made me stay with my grandparents. And I was living on the mainland, in a little suburb called Blåsut. And in English that is blowout. So I went to kindergarten when I was living there. And then when and my daddy was nowhere to be seen. I will try to do this story a little bit entertaining because I'm no Superman or Indiana Jones. I haven't had such much adventurous things happen, so I will try to make it bearable for you to listen to. I could always hope that you fall asleep, because that's often the attention of my videos. So see this as a boring little story about me. No one. Just the regular Joe, the one you meet on the street. Well, I grew up in this little place called Blåsut. My father was nowhere to be seen. And I actually met him a couple of times when I was really small. I don't remember how old I was, 6 perhaps. I remember once we were going over to his place, I think. He lived in a place called Årsta. And my mom's best friend had her daughter with her. Victoria was her name. And my dad had rented a couple of movies for us kids. And what he had rented, my dad, well, from what I know, is a little bit like me. He has a very sick sense of humor, and what he had rented was 2 VHS movies. One was Lucio Fulci's House by the Cemetery. The other one was Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. And me and Victoria were like 6-7 years, and we really wanted to watch those movies, man. But instead, at first, we had to watch a little bit of, I think it was The Warriors, and we were almost falling asleep because, as I said, we were 6 or 7 years old. And The Warriors ain't a film that appeals to small children. I think, after a while he agreed, after we had nagged on him for half an hour, he agreed to put on The Shining, I think it was first. Yeah, it was The Shining. And me and Victoria, we were just like... And prior to this, I have always been interested in horror. When I was a kid, the cinemas in Sweden, you could get something at the cinemas called the movie magazine. It was free, and you could just go in and get the latest number. And in this newspaper kind of magazine, there were pictures of all the new films coming up. And I remember one particular movie that scared the bejesus out of me. just by looking at the pictures. I couldn't sleep. I had to kind of like, I didn't want to throw the paper away because my morbid curiosity made me want to look at it. But it was a picture of Alice Craig from the 1981 movie Ghost Story, based on a novel by Peter Straub, and the picture is her. The story of the movie is that she's kind of like a ghost on a, well, she's going to take vengeance of those who killed her and kind of bury her alive in a car in a lake. And she does this by, well, show her rotten side to people when they least expect it. And so I remember half her face was rotted away and the eyeball was almost popping out. And I oh my god, I was so terrified of that picture, man. Then I saw the movie actually when I was an adult, and I was almost, closing my eyes. It wasn't so bad, the movie. I love the movie. It's one of my all-time favorite horror films. But that picture actually still haunts me to this day. So if you have Google, well, of course you have Google, just Google Alice Craig Ghost Story 1981. And you know what I mean. Well, yeah, so we watched The Shining. And after that we watched House by the Cemetery. And I don't know which movie was the most terrifying. I remember 2 scenes from each movie which stood out as particularly gruesome and scary. And, the first one was from The Shining, and it's of course the lady in room 237. When Jack goes in and he finds this sexy naked lady in the bathtub, and they engage in, the nice stuff, until she looks in the mirror and she has a rotted on her back, and she turns into this corpse-like hag. That scene made me really terrified. And by this time, I mean, this was the early 80s, it was the 70s, for God's sake, I think. So our bathroom, where I grew up, had this greenish color on everything. And if you remember the scene I just told you about from The Shining, that bathroom has this kind of moldy green. And we also had a bathtub with, lion claws for feet. We didn't have a drape, thankfully, over it. So, but I was always afraid when I was in the bathroom and the lights weren't on, and I had to, go in and turn the lights on and look at the bathtub. So yeah, that scene haunted me for a long time. Still find it really gruesome. The second scene that I remember brightly, clearly, of course I have seen these movies many times after, but that one etched itself on my cornea when I was a kid. It's the end of the House by the Cemetery, when they wander down in the basement of the house, which is haunted by a crazy surgeon who now is a zombie, and he kind of regenerates himself by taking pieces of flesh from his victims. Lucio Fulci never had any logic in his movies, so don't ask. Anyway, in one of the scenes, I think Paolo Malco, the one who plays the lead character, the hero, there aren't no heroes in the movie, but, well, he kind of takes a kitchen knife and slices this monster, Dr. Fraudstein, open, and out pours this massive wave of maggots. Almost looks like, carbonara or something. And I was like, oh my god, so that was really nasty. Yeah, so that's my dad. I met him when I was 18 too. I sought him out, and I went to him, and we talked for a little bit. I have no aggression against my father or anything, so don't think that. Well, I think it was 79, my mom had met a new guy, and they decided, because let me tell you this, my grandparents, Alice och Bruno, yeah, they are from this island where I'm on now, Möja. So there's always been houses and family estates and stuff like that out here. So my mom decided that it would be better, because she just had a new kid, my sister Jeanette, and they decided that it would be good for environmental things and stuff to move out in the archipelago. And of course they are right, because it is fresh air, there's not that many cars, and it's another way of life, close to nature, which I like. That's why I will stay here. Yeah, and all of us, we agreed that it would be a good idea. So we moved out, I think the summer of 79 or something. That's Swedish snus, by the way, but you already know that if you follow my channel. Anyway, I'm a real butthead. I have been sitting here talking in this microphone for 10 minutes. Then my eyes is drawn towards the iPhone, which I'm using as a camera, and I can see it's not connected. So I took a break, and I listened to the video I already recorded, and the sound was there through my iPhone, and it didn't sound all too bad. Of course, not as good as it usually does with the microphone, but I connected it now, by the way. I hope you can hear the difference. Yeah, stupid me, despicable me. Well, where was I? Yeah, we decided to move out in the summer of 79. It was the summer of 79. Sorry. All right. And I started my first year in school there. I was by then 7 years old. Then it must have been 81. I think we moved out 2 years prior to that. I started in school, actually. Memories began becoming foggy at old age. Anyway, so we lived in this small house. It was me, my granddad, my grandma, mom, my sister Jeanette, and her guy Börje. And the place isn't that big, so people clashed with each other, and well, anyway, I started school, and I was new out on the island. Didn't really know anyone, because I usually was on the island at summer, but I never really met anyone, because even though it's an island, it's pretty big, and I was just around the house when we were out, was going fishing with my granddad, so I never played around with the other kids who was in kindergarten and stuff like that. So I become the outsider, and the other kids, I guess they saw that as an opportunity to mock me, and so they weren't really nice. But well, this is not going to be some kind of sob story. Anyway, I got a second sister called Camilla, and the family kind of broke apart, because my grandma and my mom's guy didn't get very well together. Not my granddad either. So after being staying like this, and I got a third sister, Susanne, who passed away last year. They decided, my mom and her guy decided to buy a new house, or rent the house. So they rented a house on the other side of the island. I stayed with grandma together with Susanne. And well, I was in school and I grew up. My mom and her guy bought a house which was close to where I live now, and my sisters went with them, of course. So I'm so sorry. Yeah, so that's the first part of my years, so to speak. So I went 9 years in school out here. In Sweden we go from class 1 to class 9, and then it's time to move on into high school, or yeah. And when that day came, I was tired of school. I just wanted to take a year off to to do what I wanted to do, just stuff that I would find funny to do. So I took a year off, and I think that is for the next episode of this is my life story, because as you know I can't upload too long videos, I have limited internet. Anyway, I hope you found this total rant relaxing, and I hope that you forgive me for fucking up with the microphone. Next time I will make sure that it's really connected. Well guys, I love you, every single one of you. Please, if you like this video, click the subscribe button and feel free to share it or whatever. Alright, I will see you in the next video, and remember, there